hope y'all are doing okay. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a second, like always, for people to trickle in. Now, as always, if you see me looking here, that's my laptop. If you see me looking here, that's my monitor. I am not ignoring y'all. Good morning, everyone. I would love to hear what time it is for y'all because I scheduled this workshop for 9 a.m. when I've been getting up at 11 a.m. every day. So that was a nice jolt of energy this morning. "3 p.m. in Belgium." 3 p.m. That's nice. Yeah, if you guys are noticing a change of pace, yeah, I am currently in my living room workstation area. I kind of switch back and forth. Thank you for loving my bandana. I got it from Goodwill for about $1. Wow, 7:30 p.m. Oh my God, it's mountain time, 7 a.m. I could not. You guys are from all over the place. Love it. Okay. Well, thank you to everyone who's coming. I'm gonna hide this. So if you were there at the Python Part 1 workshop on Wednesday, you'll have heard a little bit about this. But basically, the workshop today is going to be making a Twitter chatbot. And so we're going to learn a little bit more about web scraping and how we can kind of clean up all that data. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, give you guys a little bit of introduction. Okay. Oops. Sorry, sometimes I forget how to work a computer. I think it's a little ironic for someone who wants to be a software engineer. But okay, here we go. So today, officially, we're called Basic Training Intro to Python Skills for AI, Part 2. Part 3 will be later on today at 1 p.m. Eastern. So that's 5 hours from now, I believe. Okay, so as always, if you want to post about this on social media, please do. That's our event hashtag, and that is our Twitter handle. Also, great point about checking in. Let me go ahead and send y'all the link if you don't have it already. So don't forget to check in. Okay. So hi, my name is Mara. That's my Twitch up there. I'm just here to kind of lead you through the session and hopefully help you learn something new today. I'm a third-year undergraduate CS major at the University of Virginia, and my favorite programming language / tool is React or Python. I've actually been TAing for a class with Python since my second semester of college, so Python is really like near and dear to my heart. I feel like I try to ask a different question each time. I think this time I will ask, what is your, like, pop your favorite piece of technology in the chat. For me, I really like, oh, this is hard. This doesn't have to be like coding related. It can just be a technology in general. I'm gonna say I really like my 3D printer. It's been really like nifty. I borrowed it from the school. Also, shout out to all Python TAs. Oh, I am wearing my Microsoft sweater today. Cybersecurity, smart. AR, mobile app development. I like that. Mobile gamer boy, Android development. That feels very consistent. Headphones, yes. Blenders, smart blenders make the best smoothies. I've actually never used a smart blender. Wow, I love like you guys are from like all diverse like areas. I know when it comes to like electronics and things like that, I'm very like, whew. Oh, okay. So as always, open up your browser and fill out this form so that way you can make sure that you get the slides and anything else you may need to further your learning past today. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and resend the link to check in, and just, same numbers as always, but just to reiterate this, Major League Hacking is just all about empowering hackers. We're international. I think it's even more important to make sure we're a community that supports each other and learning and growing. So that's why it's perfectly okay if you don't know a lot to begin with. That's what we're here for. Okay. So just because this is a Capital One workshop, Capital One is just dedicated to providing opportunities and resources that will enable more people to succeed. They have a great Future Edge program in educational and community resources all over to help more people succeed. Capital One, great company, all about social good. Okay, so now what are we going to learn today? So we're going to learn a little bit more about how Python can be used to create web apps, a few Python libraries that we'll be using today, and how to create a chat experience in a web app. All right, so the reason this kind of matters is a lot of AI projects are on the web. A lot of projects in general are on the web. It's like the easiest way to kind of show the average person. Learning third-party libraries matters so much because it saves you so much time. Why reinvent the wheel? And then once you learn one programming language, you can learn anything. It's all that same logic. It's just different syntax. Okay, so now, well, this is more for like in person, but we're going to go ahead and talk about what we're going to build today. So if you want to go ahead and go to this link, you can play around a little bit. I'm gonna leave that up to you if you guys want to do that. But you'll see that you can put in your a Twitter handle right here, and then you can type, and they'll send back a tweet. Okay. So how this works is you're just gonna put in the first text box the person's Twitter name. Make sure you include that @ and that second box down at the bottom. You're gonna go ahead and type your message. Press the send your message button, and you're gonna send not just the Twitter username, but the message to the app. The app is then going to use a library called Beautiful Soup to scrape a bunch of tweets from the Twitter API. Don't worry about that. We've got that set up for you. We are also using Flask. That is a library used for web apps to kind of help handle those requests and responses. And then we'll randomly get one of those tweets back, and it's kind of like they're talking to us a little bit. Okay. And I haven't looked at the chat in a sec. You can, okay, someone asked this really quick. If you want to use glitch, if you don't want to use glitch, you don't have to. But again, if there are any problems, I will not be able to help you troubleshoot it. Okay. So, okay. So web scraping is just collecting all that data from a website. Oftentimes this is in code, and then we'll use something to parse through it. In our case, we'll be using Beautiful Soup. Okay, if you want to learn more about Beautiful Soup, you can find the documentation here. You don't really need it for today. We'll never force you to like read the documentation beforehand. We're gonna keep it sweet and simple for today. Okay, so general overview of how we're going to rebuild it. So we're gonna make a copy of the code. I'll send you the template in a sec. And then you'll read through the code. We'll kind of talk about it, discuss a little bit in the Twitch chat, And then we'll write the code. And then we'll recap, take a quiz, get some points for local hack day build. Okay, so again, it's a lot, but we can do it. Okay, so to keep in mind, something that you can do is if your code isn't working, typically it can be just like a typo. Make sure that you've typed everything correctly and kind of read over that before moving on to other debugging techniques. So, and then also Glitch has a really cool rewind feature. So if your code was working before, but it's not working now, you can use the rewind feature to kind of back up. And last but not least, it's okay if you make mistakes. We all make mistakes. I'll probably make a mistake, but we're just learning and we're going through it. As long as we don't give up, that's what matters. Okay, so let's actually get started. Okay, so just to recap, here's what we learned last time. Variables, first of all. Variables are a lot like variables in math. They're just going to store information for us. Then we have loops. Loops are a structure that our program can use to perform the same task multiple times. If you're there at part 1, you'll remember that that we used it to print out how many, like day 1 through 10. And then functions are just a structure that you can reuse in bits of code throughout the program. And then libraries are just a collection of functions someone wrote that we can import into our own programs to use. So these are the 4 things that we've done. Okay, today we're going to learn a little bit more about regular expressions and imports. So regular expressions are just a way to look for a certain structure in text. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And imports, we talked about it a little bit. I think we did talk about it, where it's just using data or functions from other sources. So you'll see that a lot more today. Also, regular expressions are used for data cleaning. So using the code to remove or edit parts of the data that we don't want, to standardize it and make it a little easier to work with. Okay, so now we're going to move on to actual coding. I'm going to go ahead and look through these, see if anything in the chat's happening. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead. Okay, so go to glitch.com if you have not been there yet. I just went ahead and signed in with GitHub. You can choose whichever way you want to, whatever's faster for you. So go ahead and send that. I sent the wrong link. There's no O in that. Like I said, we all make mistakes. We're all learning, and someday I will learn that vowels do belong in words. As for the keyboard, I have, I feel like I get this question a lot because I go clickety clackety, but I got this from work. That's all I know. I think it costs like 30 bucks. I'm an absolute faker. I do not know what a mechanical keyboard is. I feel like I should look, but yeah, I'm not that super into my setup. My setup is just stuff that work gave me that I keep. Okay. Cool. Okay, whoever keeps saying remove once, I'm not taking apart my keyboard, you guys. It belongs together. Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and get the code. We're gonna remix it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do this. So I'm gonna go ahead and send you guys this link and navigate to it myself and start sharing my screen with you. Feel free to tell me to zoom in a little bit more. I know that my monitor is pretty big, so sometimes I'm not as zoomed in as I'd like to be. Okay, so this is the starter code, and we're gonna go ahead and go down to the bottom right. We're just gonna press remix your own. Whether or not there's dark mode, I'm not sure. If you want to go into the settings, you can probably find it. But I love bright colors. I think it's nice. It brings in a lot of light. Okay. So now at this time, after you've remixed, you should have it open like this. You should have the README open by default. Okay. Take a water break. Sorry if you guys can hear me like swallowing on stream. I feel like that's weird. Okay, so now to move on to what we're doing, just to kind of recap like what you might find in here, I'm gonna go ahead and open these folders. Okay, so what you're gonna find is you're gonna find script.js. That is the JavaScript file that's going to add the bot responses to the web page. Don't worry, we don't have to touch that. Style.cs is just like the styling. Homepage is going to be the template of what we're doing. And then config is going to be how we tell Glitch to run our app. Main.py is going to be what handles the requests and responses. Twitter scraper fetcher down here, that is going to be the file that's scraping the tweets. That's going to be our main one for today. And then, of course, the README is a great README to tell you more about the project. It's a markdown file, it's not code. Requirements text is just a file that tells our project what it needs to run. And then resources, well, resources, we'll be using that in a bit. Okay, so now let's go ahead and run the app by clicking show in our top bar. We're going to do show preview our app. We're going to do it in a new window. To make sure I'm sharing my whole. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you should get this screen when you open it. You go, hi, sorry I couldn't process that. We're gonna get like an error message. As for who Jason Witten is, I think he's a football player. I did not make the default value. So now we're gonna go ahead and move back to some actual code. Okay, so first we're gonna go into our environments folder. So this is where we're gonna have our environment variables. This kind of keeps it, this keeps, you know, sensitive information, sensitive information, what's the word? Safe, keeps it safe. So like if you have a Twitter API, you don't necessarily want to share that, but you need to have it in your code somehow. So like this is a great, what's the word? It's a great compromise. Okay. Yeah, so if you notice what Glitch says, it says comment, or so this kind of like keeps it secret in the remixes. I'm so confused on how someone is on my code. I guess you can look up my name, that makes sense. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put this link for the Twitter API. I'm gonna go ahead and paste it here. I'm gonna make a quick banner for it too, in case. Okay, so that's what we're gonna go ahead and put in the Twitch API. In the Twitter fetcher, we're gonna go ahead and just put scraper. And the Flask environment, we're gonna go put development because we're not pushing production right now. And then our Flask port is going to be 500. Okay, so the MLH Twitter API is going to be the link that I have down here. I guess it'd probably be easier for me to go like that. Okay, so you don't have to go to that link. You just paste it in the MLH Twitter API. Just paste it. Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and make sure, actually, give it a sec, make sure that everyone has the screen. Hi to anyone just coming in. Love to see all y'all join. Okay. So you can go ahead and just paste everything in here, and it's just gonna save. So now we're gonna go ahead and go, okay, so just making sure. We're gonna go ahead and go to the Twitter scraper. All right, you don't need to open the link. You just need to paste it into MLH Twitter API. Okay, so you should be, so you just paste it here. It's this link down below is the link for the MLH Twitter API. No need to apologize for asking any questions. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to the Twitter scraper fetcher. Let me know if you can't get it. And if you guys can, always help out in the chat. That's always really nice. Okay, so kind of just to talk a little bit about what our plan is. So this first function here, get elements, that's going to return just all the data from a Twitter account. Get user tweets, that's where we're going to get the actual elements data. That's where we're going to get the actual tweets data from the elements. And then clean tweets data, we're going to go ahead and remove emojis, URLs, whatever that we don't want from the tweets. So that way our chats look a little more realistic. Unfortunately, I don't think I can necessarily zoom in anymore without things getting cut off. Okay. So what we're going to go ahead to do is we're going to go to get elements, and we can go ahead and get rid of the nothing here yet in the past. That's just so that way our function doesn't throw an error. Okay, so we're going to define a URL. Really basic, the URL is going to be the Twitter URL that we have imported up here. And then we're just going to say plus Twitter _ handle, it's like twitter.com/NASA or twitter.com/Jimmy Fallon. Makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so this is just creating the full URL. Okay. So now what we're doing is we're going to go ahead and request to return all the HTML data from the web page, okay? So we're going to create a variable called response, and then we're going to go ahead and set it equal to request.getURL. If you're confused where request came from, that's another library up here. So this is just a great example of how we don't reinvent the wheel. We use our resources, we use what we have. This is a good point. If you want to learn more about like the Twitter docs, you can just look down here. You don't have to. We're going to keep all of our coding pretty simple. We set up a lot more in like we kind of have some more set up. But if you want to be able to expand on your knowledge, check out this link down below. Okay, so I'm going to actually close that banner. Okay, so now that we have this response, we have all this HTML, we have this response, but to get the HTML from it, we're going to go ahead, we'll just make a variable, call it HTML, and we're just going to grab the content from that response. So that's just going to be all the HTML. Okay. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and use the beautiful soup library. So it's just going to be soup. We're going to set something called soup, equal it, and we're just going to call the beautiful soup method. We're going to tell it that we want to parse the HTML variable, and we're going to let it know that it's HTML by specifying HTML parser here. Again, if you are a little bit confused, that's okay. We are using a new piece of technology. All you really need to know to make it work is that we are importing a new library that's going to be able to analyze all of our HTML content. Okay. So now at this point, we're gonna do a little bit of funky code. This might be a little bit more confusing. We're just going to say soup find all, and we're going to do content container tags. Attributes are going to be class content class name. So this is just, I'm going to go ahead and press enter. Okay. It's just going to go ahead and be response.content. So, and then make sure you have this. This is just letting soup know, or This is just making it so we're gonna only return the relevant content to us. Okay, so the beautiful soup object is gonna help take care of all of that. So again, this is another reason that we import libraries. It's just so much easier to let something else do the work. And then we just sit back and relax. So basically what that return is doing, we're just parsing through all the HTML or that we're using all the HTML that's already been parsed, and we're finding all the data that contains tweets. Yeah, so like it's just going to find whatever content container tags and class content class name. That's going to go ahead and take care of everything for us. You notice we've defined it up here just to kind of give you a little bit less to worry about. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and get some user tweets. So now, now we can use another function that we've just done and create an elements variable. Does someone know how we can write an elements variable so we're calling the above function, the function that we just wrote? Feel free to drop that in the chat. So we're making a elements variable, and we're setting that equal to get elements. Okay, so this right here is close, but inside the parentheses, is there a parameter? So so this right here would be calling this function up here, but there's a parameter here. So how do we account for it here? How would we write this? Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put Twitter handle parentheses. If you're confused what that where that's coming from, it's coming from this parameter here. Okay. And then when we call this in our main py file, we will be specifying like the Twitter handle. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and make a list of tweets. So if you guys remember, a list, make it an empty list is just doing square brackets, okay? And now that we have these like all these empty tweets, we're gonna go ahead and start, adding some in there. So we're going to iterate through our elements. So for each post in elements, okay, and then for the text in the post contents, okay, this is just us iterating it. Okay. If anyone does have to go, this will be recorded. That's a great thing about Twitch. We're declaring this empty list because the next thing that we're going to do here is to check to see if the text string is not in empty items. Again, if you're confused on what empty items are, it's defined above. It's just anything that's like none, a blank string, whatever. And then we're going to go ahead and append that string, if it's not empty, to that tweets list. Oh, thank you. Thank you to who pointed out my typo. If you guys made the same one as me, element up here should be elements. So that way you have a proper variable in your for loop. Thank you. Okay. Why is it better to declare an empty list? So what we're doing here is we have this empty list and then we're appending. We're just making that empty list beforehand. So that way when it comes time to append, Python isn't like, hey, where's the list? It's already there. And so we can just build off of that. Okay. Just want to make sure everyone's there. And then last but not least, we will be returning tweets. Okay, keep in mind, indents do mean something for Python. So if you're getting any errors, it might be because you're not indenting or like unindenting. And as for like my enters, I just do it for more readability. Yeah, appending Appending a list, for anyone who doesn't know, is just adding. It's just adding a list to the end, or adding an element to the end of the list. Yes. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and check out main.py. Okay. So we see that it says, see that we have Twitter handle here. So now that we have the Twitter handle, can you guys guess what function we want from the Twitter scraper fetcher to get the tweets? We have already imported that function up here, and we did import from Twitter scraper fetcher, import asterisk, so we don't need to specify that we're calling from the Twitter scraper fetcher file. We can just call the function. So what function will we be using to get the tweets? What do y'all think? Get user tweets. Okay, get user tweets. And what are we going to go ahead and put in those parentheses? I'm very all for participation. So the more people participate, faster we get them through. So what will we put as an argument to get user tweets? Okay. So parameter is like that placeholder variable, and argument is the actual value that we're feeding into a function. Okay, see that? Twitter handle. So yeah, we would put the username, and if you notice here, Twitter handle is equal to body username, and that that is this right here. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put in Twitter handle here. Now we're gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and comment these out and make some new ones. We're gonna go ahead and get a single tweet. We're gonna do this randomly. Does anyone remember how to get what's the library to grab random functions from? It's super straightforward. It's like an easy one. Perfect. Random, we've got it. Now, the cool thing about random is there's a lot of it. So we've already imported it up here. We did not do the asterisk. We will have to say random dot. And then this one's cool. It's not a random number. It's just a random choice from the tweets list. Okay. So now we should have that. We're going to go ahead and make our answer have a username and then Twitter handle username that's equal to the Twitter handle. And then we're going to make our message. What do we want our message equal to? What would our message be equal to? We have a variable already defined that's ready to be called. What variable do we want to be the message? Single tweet, yes. Okay, single tweet. Make sure I don't have a typo. All right. Yeah, so this message, so while we are going to, so this question here is the user input, and this answer here is the bot output. So we're using the single tweet here. So this is going to be, this right here is a new data structure. So this is called a dictionary. A dictionary has curly brackets. That's how you define it. And you'll notice the pattern of something on the left-hand side, a colon, and something on the right-hand side. That is called a key, and then a colon, and then a value. This is not a JSON. It is something in Python. It's just a Python dictionary. This is just another data structure. We're using it because we want to give labels to these. So though it may be similar to like a JSON object and it is easy to convert from a Python dictionary to a JSON object, this is something in Python. Okay. But basically, it's the way you would access it is very similar to a list. Instead of indexing by numbers, you would index by the key. So if I want to pull Twitter handle, I would just do answer and then in string, and then just put that key there, which is username. But yeah, it's a fun little tidbit. Okay. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and try running this app. We're gonna say, hi. Random choice, what it does is just, all it does is grab a random item from the list. Okay. So now we're going to talk a little bit about regular expressions. Before we do that, let's go ahead and let's kind of take a 5-minute break to move around. I know it's early in the morning, so if you, I'll also go ahead and leave my code up here, but I will be back in just 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take myself on the screen. Yes, I will answer any quick questions really quick. What's up? How do we run our code? If you're confused on how to run your code, you press show and you're going to do in a new window and it's going to open the web app over here and you should see that. So yeah, just to repeat that, you have your code here, you have this show button that says preview your app, and you're going to do in a new window and it's going to open up this tab right here. Okay. Yeah, I will be back in just 5 minutes. Okay, hi you guys. I am back. Thank you for waiting for me. So, let me hmm, let me see what might be up with some of these. So it's not okay. Sorry, it's been like a sec. It's not running for you. You got an error. Okay, I'll open this file again so you have a chance to look over it. It's loading, nothing happening. Anyone else's, just not send a reply. Okay, so now we're back here. Trying to think of bugs. Make sure you guys have from config import Twitter URL. That might be an error if you don't have that. I personally get a response. So, hi. I can also pop this share. I'm going to pop the code. Please don't change any of the code, but I'm going to go ahead and pop it in the chat. Check to make sure that this works for you. If it does, we can go ahead and go off from here. It's probably just like a little typo that might have been made. So if you want to go ahead and just remix from this code, you can. Okay. Oh, as for how we're using Markov chain to generate messages, we will be doing that in part 3. So the way this workshop split up, part 1 is about like Python basics, part 2 is about like web scraping, regexes, and then part 3 is how we're going to do a little bit more AI with Markov chain. Okay. So feel free, hop on my code, play around for a little bit. I mean, don't actually like play around. Please don't change the code, but compare it to your own code, and that way we can kind of see what's happening here. Okay. And if yours doesn't work, try running this and see. Okay. Hi, Bianca. So anyone who's joining a bit late, I'm set this glitch link. What you can go ahead and do is if you go to the glitch link and you get this screen, you can click up in the top left, the project options, and go ahead and remix the project so you can make it your own, and then you can start following along. We're at a good like stopping and joining point. So like all we've done so far are create these functions right here and learn how to get the tweets from a certain user. Okay. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on. I'm not seeing anyone else going like it's not working anymore. So now we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about regular expressions. I'm going to go ahead and make a new file. New file. I'm going to call it regex.py just to have it there, just so you guys have a visual of what I'm doing. So actually this right here, if anyone else is having an error, this is a good point. If you're not sure how to check your logs from error, in the bottom left here by status and tools, you click here, you do logs, and you'll see this. So yeah. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about regular expressions. So just to kind of start out, what we're gonna do, we're gonna import this library called regular expressions, okay? So a regex pattern is just something that's gonna help us find a certain pattern in text. And there's a lot of shorthand that makes it like super useful. And you know, there's so many, and there's so many great resources online. Not gonna lie, I do need a guide when I'm doing regular expressions. I don't do them often enough to know them off the top of my head. But you can find a lot of great what's the word? References online that are like regular expression testers as well with like a guide on the side. You know, it's a little too early for me. My speaking skills not great. Okay, so now we've gone ahead and we've imported re. So now we're going to define a variable called URL pattern. It doesn't really matter, it's just a variable to show you what's up. And the way that we're going to do our regex is we're going to do read.compile. So this is just compiling the regular expression. We're going to put R, and then in quotes, and then inside these quotes here, this is where we're gonna go ahead and put the regular expression. So what we're gonna do, just kind of contextualize it. If we go here and we go, hey, okay, give it a second, I have to find a good, okay, if we go here, we'll find that we like have this link right here, and like, yes, that makes sense, it's a tweet, but it's not really what you want to respond back to you. So we're gonna use regular expressions to help clean it up. And we're gonna look for links. So links all start with HTTP, okay? And then that means any text that matches HTTP directly, that will, anything that matches HTTP will be collected. Then we're gonna do a little shorthand. We're gonna do this, I think that's a backslash. And then we're gonna do the capital S with the plus, okay? So what this means right here is that that backslash S with a plus means it's text that starts with HTTP and is followed by any length of non-white space character. If you need the glitch link, go ahead and send it again. Just for another context of like why regular expressions are great, you can find a pattern that that works for like finding emails. So like spam bots may do this. I actually just did this in a project where I used a library called Yup to help validate an email, and email validation was just done with a regular expression. So yeah, that's how it works in the industry. Okay, and then after this, we're gonna go ahead and put a comma, and then we're just gonna read dot all. This dot all just means we're gonna go ahead and apply it to everything, including new lines. So yeah. So now, just to kind of give an example, if what we do is we go, here's an example. Yeah, I didn't know a better way to say that in the industry. It sounds so pretentious, I hate it. Okay, for the bot refreshing itself, it does refresh itself if you're updating. So this is like auto saving, so it will like update. But you can kind of see with the status here, pink or like whatever is like it's loading. Green means it's ready. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do like an example tweet. I'm just gonna say, check this out. I'm gonna do some HTTPS, link.com. We love LinkedIn. And then we're gonna say text without the URL, and we're just gonna take that regular expression, the URL pattern, and we're going to sub this empty string. Okay, we're gonna sub this empty string whenever we find that, whenever we find the URL pattern in example tweet. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and print example tweet, and we're going to print text without URL. So now in order to run this, what we're going to do is I'm just going to go to terminal. You don't have to do this. It's just like an exercise to show you how regular expressions work. I'm just going to type python regex.py. Okay, so if you notice what happened is it said check this out, and it had the link, and then I removed the link with regular expressions, and now it's gone. So this doesn't just have to be like LinkedIn.com, it could be any website, it could be anywhere in the text, and that's why regular expressions can be so resourceful. Okay. So now, what we're gonna go ahead and do, just so like you guys don't have to type it yourself, we're gonna go to resources.text, and we're just gonna copy and paste this, okay? This right here is just the, what's the word? This is just the regular expression for emojis or emoticons. So if you notice this one right here, this emoticon is actually the code for a grinning emoticon. So yeah, that's a little fun fact. I don't know these off the top of my head. So I'm happy that they're there for us. Okay. Regular expressions, they're pretty simple. If you want to go ahead and if you want to kind of like look over this a little bit, essentially what's going to happen is you have a URL pattern. You're going to make some pattern that you do by doing recompile. There's a lot of shorthands that you can use, but this is my regular expression right here. And then we'll have like this tweet that has a link. And then we'll say like, we want to make that tweet without the link. So we'll sub it out using this regular expression. Sub out anything that matches that regular expression with a blank string. And you know that we're doing it in an example tweet because that's the second parameter. So if I go ahead and print this, now if I go ahead and print this, you'll see that I have the example tweet plus the example tweet without the URL. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to write some clean tweets data. Okay, as always, you can go ahead and delete the nothing here yet in the past. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and write some regular expressions. This is going to be a lot. Just bear with me, y'all. If you do get lazy, that's okay. I'll send my link once again if you just want to copy and paste. Okay, so I'm just pasting this emoji pattern here just so we have that regular expression. I'm going to make a URL pattern. So this is very similar to what we just did. Excuse me as I type. You can join the ASMR from my keyboard. We're also going to go ahead and get rid of mentions just because, you know, we don't need a mention. That's not how you chat with someone. You don't go, hey, at Jimmy Fallon, how are you doing? Like, that's not normal conversation. Okay. Wait, did we not copy? We did copy this emoji pattern from resources. So resources.txt, go ahead and copy that. You're just going to paste it right here. Okay. You can read the comments to see like what each like Unicode really goes to, but yeah, you can just check it out like that. Okay, so now what we're going to go ahead and do, I'm going to give you guys a second to write that pattern. Take a break to drink some water. Stay hydrated. Okay. Cool. Oh yeah, so I brought up this site. Love this site. It's one of those sites I was talking about that you can test your regular expression as well as see a guide on how to write one. So yeah, regx101.com. What is read.all for? It's just saying that it's going to look through all of it, including like new lines. So it's just looking through all of what you give it. Okay. So now what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to start setting up our cleaned tweets list. So little pop quiz. How do you declare a empty list called cleaned tweets? Yes, I'm going to use underscores just to stay consistent, but yeah, clean tweets equals that. If your glitch is glitching, please let us know what's happening, and we can try to fix it as best as possible. Okay, so now we have clean tweets here. I'm going to go ahead and start looking through the tweets that we get, because keep in mind that we're passing in this this variable tweets. So I'm going to say for tweet in tweets. So for each of the items in the list tweets, we're going to get rid of the emoji. So text without emoji. Emoji pattern sub r blank string tweet. So keep in mind, like the pattern here is there's a variable, it's equal to the regular expressions dot sub, and then the R with a blank string, so you're going to replace it with a blank string, and then you're doing this to the tweet. You don't have to get rid of emojis if you don't want to, but if that makes it feel more real to you, then go for it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the URL, and we're going to build this off of each other. So this time we're going to do that same sub pattern, but we're going to do text without an emoji, and then we're going to do text without mentions equals mentions pattern. And then we're going to take that nice clean text and we're going to append it. Okay. Thank you. I love this jumper too. I got it for free. Free stuff is my favorite stuff. Okay. So now we should be here. And then last thing, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and just return cleaned tweets. So typo that I made here that would make my whole code bug out, I put cleaned tweet instead of cleaned tweets. Okay. So make sure you don't do it like me. Okay. So let me know if you are good, if you're not good. I love having some check-in, which is really hard to do over live stream. Okay. So URL pattern is right here in line 47. And this is just saying like any text that has HTTP at the start and is followed by any length of non-white space characters, we're going to go ahead and highlight that and return it. Okay. So then we know like any of that text. Down here, we're going to go ahead and sub it out. So sub anything inside text without emoji. We're going to sub anything that has this URL pattern, the HTTP, followed by any non-white space character, and just replace it with nothing, just to remove it. Okay. So now, now we've made this whole function. It took some time, took some struggle, took some sweat, tears, you know. Now we're gonna go ahead and call it. Can anyone guess what the file we're going to call it in will be? What is the file going to be? Oh, okay, this is a good question. What does the R before quotes signify? This is just specifying that it's a regular expression. Okay, so close, you guys. So we've made this function, clean tweets data, and we're going to call it somewhere. Hint, we are going to call it in the same place that we have called this function here. So we've now defined this function. Where will we be calling it? So like, where is the code that helps answer the bot? Main.py, perfect. I don't know how y'all pronounce it. I do py, I don't know. I've known this language for a couple years. I still don't know. Okay, so now what we're gonna go ahead and do, now we have tweets here. I forgot the name of this. So this is called clean tweets data. I'm gonna go ahead and cheat and just copy and paste this so I don't have to memorize the header. We're gonna go back to main. Okay, and now we're just gonna put inside the try. I'm going to set this function call equal to clean tweets, and then, clean tweets, and then go ahead and change that to clean tweets. So all we're doing now is just making sure that we're filtering, cleaning up this data, and then we make a random choice out of it. So it's very similar to the whole like tweet syntax. We're just adding some of that filtering in. Oh, something that I may have forgotten earlier. This try except, if you know programming or if you've done programming in other languages, this may be familiar to you, but essentially what's going to happen is your code is going to try something, and if there is an exception, some kind of error or anything, it will just stop the try block and go ahead and move into the accept, and still make your code like, like running. So like if for some reason something went wrong here, you may not know if you didn't have an accept, or the entire app may just break. So you want to make sure that you're including those exceptions so you can also get some, what's the word? You can also get some like feedback on it. Try and accept, unless you specify that it returns true or false, unless you specify that it should return true and false, it doesn't. It does whatever you specify here. I personally use camel case for variables, but I am going off the like LHD and then also the starter template. So I just want to keep things consistent. This is how I feel. I think it just looks better. Okay, so now, so now we're here. We've had a chance to do that. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at our web app. We're going to say hi. Oof. We're gonna say hi, and if you notice, like I'm just gonna type random stuff. Should send 2 tweets. I did that really fast. You're gonna notice that you're not gonna get any emoticons. You're not going to get any mentions, whatever. I'm gonna go chat with NASA, my homie. I'm gonna say, "What's up, NASA? Miss you." And it's gonna send me back a random tweet. This whole regular expression thing isn't like perfect because you're gonna say like more, and chances are that that was a link right there that we deleted. But it's a step. Okay, now we're gonna go back to the code. So just a kind of overview, because I think, yeah, I believe that should, yeah, this is all the code that we're doing today. Yeah, so if you have to leave now, that's okay. If you do want the points, please make sure that you do the quiz. The quiz is at, where's the link? How do I find it? The quiz should be, you have to leave. This is the quiz. Okay, and I'll do it together, but I'm gonna go over the code before. But yeah. Okay, so why are we removing emojis? You don't have to remove emojis if you don't want to. I just personally am. The great thing about like the whole sub is that the sub function is that you can like swap things out. You can substitute them. Okay. Trying to see if anything else. Okay, so now we'll kind of go over again like what we did. So we went ahead and we defined environment variables. Again, environment variables are going to be variables that are, secret to you, such as like an API key. So like you don't want to, what's the word? Share out this code because as we may have mentioned like before in other workshops, if someone else has access to your API key, they can use up all your API calls, they can do something malicious, something like that. Okay, then we were inside the Twitter scraper fetcher. Here we went ahead and we got the elements from the Twitter account. So, and we also used the response in the beautiful soup library to help us do that. So then in the user tweets, we took that element, we actually got the tweets itself, making sure that it wasn't just empty. And then here we cleaned out the emojis, the URL, the mentions, whatever. Yeah. And then, yeah. So we went ahead and returned clean tweets. And then in main, we got the question, we got the Twitter handle, we got the tweets, and then we tried, you know, that try except block, and we tried to get the clean tweets, and then we grabbed a random one from that, and we gave it as an answer. And then this library socket.io went ahead and omitted that, okay? And then this is part of like Flask, by the way. And then if there was some kind of exception that you would have seen very early on with the sorry, I couldn't process that, then like that's what would have happened. Like if there's an error here, you can just move it to that accept. Okay. If you would like to push code from Glitch to GitHub, I'm not sure how to download it as a I'm not personally sure how to download it as like a zip file or something, but you could probably find out a way. Oh, probably import and export, but yeah, you're completely allowed to. As for if there's an AI part, we will be doing a little bit of Markov chain to help generate sentences using like a word from the tweet or using a word from the question to try to find the most appropriate tweet. That will be in part 3 at 1 p.m. today, 1 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so now, now what we're gonna go ahead to do, we're going to do the quiz together. Okay, are there any last questions? Does MLH have the resources to learn Flask? I believe that we have a workshop on it. I don't know everything, but if you are looking for more workshops, you can go ahead and check out this link right here. Okay, there's like so much on it, and it gets updated like every month. Like, look, 1 month we have like what, 16 events. This is like our event right now. This will be our event at 1. Okay, but yeah, now we're gonna go ahead and we're going to do the quiz together. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you this. Which one I love more? I personally don't do too much with Python web apps like outside of MLH. I use Django for a class and I use Flask for MLH. I have more experience with Django, but I think Flask could be really cool. I think Flask is like, it's a really great, what I've heard is a really great hackathon tool because there's not too much to set up, whereas Django can be, a lot. Okay, so we did the basic training intro to Python skills for AI part 2. We're gonna go scroll all the way down. Just wanna make sure you guys got it. It's about in the middle. We're gonna click that. And then we're going to go ahead and put LHD build 2021. And then put in whatever email you use to sign up. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and take this quiz. Okay, so I'm not answering this. You guys are answering it. I'm just putting down your answers, okay? So what is a regular expression? Is it a code that works with text? Is it a code that allows you to use someone else's code in your project? Is it a code that allows us to use the result of a function? Or is it a code that someone else wrote that you can borrow from? Okay, seeing a couple A's. Let a couple more people answer. Even if someone's already popped their answer in the chat, feel free. I want to make sure that we have a few people on the same page. Oh, the name of the session is it's Python part 2. It's basic training, intro to Python for AI part 2, I believe. Just Control F Python and it's part 2. Okay. So it looks like everyone's saying A. Someone said it's not B, C, D, so I'm guessing they're saying A. Yeah. So now we're gonna go move on to what is an import? Is an import code that works with a text? You guys can read that. But yeah, same order. What do you think? A, B, C, or D? So something that I want you guys to notice is that you have a library, like you're asking about what is a library, and you import a library. Okay, so knowing that you import a library and those answers are either B, C, or D for import and library, which one? Okay, so a library, some answers for this could be, it could be code that someone else wrote that you can borrow from, or code that allows you to use someone else's code in your project. So you can import a library. This one is a little tough. It's a little toughy. Yeah, so this is going to be D. I know we kind of bounced around between D and B. It definitely is kind of a trick question. So an import specifically, it just lets you use someone else's code in your project. But a library is going to be that code that someone else wrote. Okay, so that library is going to be the beautiful soup. Someone else wrote that, but the code that lets us use that is the import beautiful soup. Okay, so kind of. Okay, now we're gonna go back to question 3. We just did 2 and 4. Go back to question 3. What is a return? Okay, is it code that allows us to use the result of a function? Is it code that someone else wrote? Code that works with text, or code that allows you to use someone else's code in your project? Give you guys a minute to answer. You guys are really fast. You're like on it. Yes, so it is going to be A. If you remember, if you remember, at the end of our functions, we used return for the result of the function. And then when you call a function, you're actually going to have, if you say like this variable is equal to a function, the variable is actually going to be equal to the return. Okay, back to the quiz. Okay, last question. What is data cleaning? Is it using a value from a function, using someone else's code, standardizing and formatting text information, and getting information from a website? Yeah, someone mentioned that you guys all have different letter choices for this question. Yeah, when you guys like say A, B, C, or D, make sure you're saying it from my screen. And if you, because you have to do this quiz too, so make sure when you're submitting it, you're not going through A, B, C, or D, you're actually reading out what the answer is. But you guys are saying C. So standardize for data cleaning, yeah, it's just standardizing and formatting information. So, you know, in our case, we used text information, but in other cases, like especially like a lot of statistics, it's going to be more about those numbers. Yeah, and so you can go ahead and press this question, or press next, and then fill out, you know, the rest of these here. I go ahead and remove. It's going to be a couple questions. You don't have to necessarily do it right away. I'm just kind of clicking through it. Please give honest feedback if you can. I'd love to hear more about how I did and if there's any way that I could improve. Okay, it looks like that data cleaning is saying getting any information from a website. I will talk to them about that because yeah, it's more about, I will talk to them about that discrepancy, because if we all said it was C, then yeah, I'll make a note of that. But other than that, we are done for basic training, intro to Python skills for AI part 2, and we will have part 3 at 1 p.m. Eastern today. So that is in a little less than 3 hours. This is when we're going to talk more about like the AI and the Markov chain. So I really hope you guys get to come and join. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and then maybe okay, I will do Dino, Chrome Dino. Okay. If you guys want to stay and watch me, someone suggested that I play Chrome Dino. You play it on Brave? Okay, yeah. If you want to go ahead and tip, feel free. Okay. Okay. Oh, there's so much beeping. I hate it. Oh, I just hate the beeping. Okay. I'm not very good at video games, to be honest. I've always like thought about like, what if I like streamed or something? If I did stream, the only thing I'd be able to stream is like Minecraft. I will play COD on easy mode just because I enjoy playing. I cannot handle competition. Wait, why do you need to be on Chrome for Chrome Dino? I feel like this is the same game. I'm getting very like nervous. It's moving so fast. Oh God. I'm trying to like, okay. So I lost. Okay, just to reiterate, so on the survey, if you do fill it out, you will be entering a raffle for t-shirts. Also, if you want a t-shirt, I think a great way to do that is go to a hackathon. Go to one of our member hackathons. If you're looking for where to find that, you can go to mlh.io. You go to events and you go to 2021 season hackathons. Because we are, in a pandemic, everything's online. So you can go to any of these. Otherwise, they would normally be sorted by region. If you go to one of our partner events and you go ahead and submit a project, you will get stickers for that specific event as well as the season t-shirt. My score was, I think, 469. Yeah. You actually don't have to win at the hackathon to get swag. So with MLH, just by submitting a project, make sure that you're submitting a new project, that you're not submitting to any other hackathons, and you should be getting that season t-shirt. Actually, you might not be, instead of a season shirt, we've been doing a season mask for Ellie the elephant. I think it's kind of cute. It's really soft too. Highly recommend. Also the free stickers, nice. Okay. Other than that, if you guys have any other questions, always feel free to hit me up on Discord for all things related to MLH. If you want to come check out some hackathons, I will be personally at Tech Together Seattle and one other one, and this one right here. So if you want to come join, say hi, please. There's so many hackathons available. It will be such a good time. Okay, wow, I'm really not good at this game. Oh, quick question. Which Chris? What is the last initial of Chris? Do you know, or what he looks like? Okay. I am from Virginia in the USA. I do not personally use Twitter a lot. If you want to find me, if you want to find me, I will update my Twitter and let you guys know at part 3 today. That's at 1 p.m. And any tips for getting internships in general, just make sure that you're putting your best foot forward and you're showing that you're really passionate about what you want to do. Okay. Yeah. Other than that, y'all, I will be signing off. Thank you for joining. And I hope I get to see you guys in less than 3 hours. Okay. Bye, y'all.